Good afternoon. Today we will study about our pronoun. A speaker applies a pronoun to indicate a subject or an object that is identified in the conversation instead of a noun to indicate the subject or object. Let's start to study about the definition. A pronoun is a replacement of a noun to indicate an object. The prefix pro of the pronoun connotes the fact that the pronoun is applied in a preceding context. After a noun to indicate the object is preceded, the fact that the object indicated by a pronoun is identified in the conversation reveals that there is a prior context about the object. The speaker and the listeners in the conversation have talked about the object. Let's study about the role of a pronoun. The speaker indicates an object with a pronoun instead of a noun on the premise that the speaker and the listeners already identify the object indicated by the pronoun. The good point about applying a pronoun is that the speaker is able to state a clause about a subject or an object in a detailed way from the understanding of the prior context. As the speaker and the listeners apply a pronoun to indicate an object, the speaker can focus on the other part of the statement in a detailed way. The speaker can focus on describing the other subject or object with the application of a pronoun. This is because if one of the listeners wanted to get some more information about the subject or object indicated by the pronoun, the listener might be able to inquire about the subject or object. This can be an assurance to apply a pronoun between the speaker and the listeners. So the speaker can focus on proceeding with the discussion of the subject or object with the consideration that the effect of applying the pronoun is related to the simplification. The speaker and the listeners are able to focus on the other part of the statement. So the speaker can convey his own intention with the effective way, because applying a pronoun can be understood with the effect of the simplification. Let's start to study about the search of a pronoun. Let's start to study about a personal pronoun. There are the speaker and the listeners in the conversation. The speaker indicates himself and the listeners with the personal pronouns to reveal the roles as participants in the conversation. The speaker indicates himself in the first person narrative and the listeners in the second person narrative. A personal pronoun reveals the role in a conversation for a speaker and listeners. The object who does not participate in the conversation with the speaker is indicated by either the personal pronoun or the noun. The speaker indicates the subject or object that does not participate in the conversation with the speaker in the third person narrative. The fact that the subject or object that does not participate in the conversation with the speaker can be indicated by a noun is different from that. The personal pronoun is only applied to indicate the speaker or listeners in the conversation. The personal pronoun has the form according to the role as a subject or an object in the clause to reveal the role. This means that the same person or thing in a clause can be indicated with a different form of the personal pronoun according to the role as a subject or an object in the clause. The personal pronoun reveals the role as a subject to start the subject-object relationship with the object and give the definition of a verb or a preposition to the object or as an object to get the definition of the verb or the preposition from the subject and finish the subject-object relationship with the subject. This is the description about the role as a subject or an object in a statement. The subject starts the subject-object relationship and gives the definition of the transitive verb or preposition to the object. In a case that the verb is a transitive verb, the object receives the definition of the transitive verb or preposition from the subject, and the object finishes the subject-object relationship with the subject as the object receives the definition of the transitive verb or preposition. The fact that the subject-object relationship is finished means that the relationship between the subject and object gets back to the original state. Before the relationship is made, even though the speaker rearranges the subject or the object to convey the specific intentions as an interrogative clause or as a sentence, that two clauses are linked by the relative pronoun who or whom. The personal pronoun to indicate the speaker or the listeners reveals the role as a subject or an object in the clause. In the interrogative clause, the speaker rearranges the order of a subject and a be verb or a modal verb that is not a verb. The form of the personal pronoun reveals the fact that the subject is the subject and the object is the object constantly. A sentence that the two clauses are linked because of the common indication for a subject or an object in both clauses is mediated by a relative pronoun that replaces a subject or an object in the subordinate clause. In the subordinate clause, a subject or an object can be indicated by a personal pronoun that is the common subject or object in the main clause. Then the speaker replaces the subject in the subordinate clause with the relative pronoun who. The speaker replaces the object in the subordinate clause with the relative pronoun whom. The form of the relative pronoun appears to be differentiated for a subject or an object, as a personal pronoun is differentiated for a subject or an object as well. In the subordinate clause, the personal pronoun to indicate a subject exists. The speaker replaces the subject indicated by the personal pronoun with the relative pronoun who. The speaker replaces the object in a subordinate clause indicated by a personal pronoun with the relative pronoun whom. This means that the role of the subject or object in a statement is revealed by a personal pronoun, and in a case that the personal pronoun is replaced by a relative pronoun, the speaker keeps revealing the role as a subject or an object in the subordinate clause.